Good evening, guys. I hope so. I'm live now. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this live session. I know we are one day late, but yeah, let's begin it now. Just confirm it if I'm audible and clearly visible to you or not. And just give me a minute and I will share my screen with you all. Just a small setup and we can begin forward. Okay. Let me share my screen. Hi guys, hi everyone. Hi, welcome to this first day. Although the first day was planned to be yesterday, but due to some problems, we were not able to move forward. I hope so. My screen is now visible to you. Okay, audible. Great, great. If I'm audible, then it's great. Yeah, hi everyone. Hi, welcome everyone to this first day of the bootcamp. Just late by one day. Okay, sorry for the delays and problems due to some issues. We were not able to continue forward yesterday. Okay. Uh, okay, fine. I think so. Everything is fine from my side. So, what exactly are we going to do in this bootcamp? As mentioned, it's named as Modern Web Essentials. So it means we are going to cover all important topics that are required for modern web development. Okay. Now, remember one thing: we are not going into details, but yeah, we are absolutely going into each and every part that's required, not in much detail. Let's take an example. If I'm talking about CI/CD, we'll understand what CI/CD is. We'll try implementing CI/CD on basic level, but we will not be getting much into CI/CD. Okay, it means it's a kind of introductory video for everyone who is trying to get into web development as a new person. Okay, not an experienced person. So I'm informing you beforehand. If someone who is experienced in web development, this bootcamp is exactly not for you. Okay, so we have created something that will help out new beginners over it. Obviously, this is not a very famous topic to take boot camp on, but yeah, I thought that I was getting many requests for the beginner level of students to take this topic, so that's why I went forward with it. And we'll understand the concepts behind web development, like rendering, server side, client side rendering, what a single page application, and other things. Okay, we have many things to cover right now in this case. And remember, this bootcamp mostly is going to be theoretical. If someone who gets easily bored with the theoretical part, so yeah, please take care of that. Because in last bootcamp too, I was getting many doubts about if it is theory or not. Okay, okay, guys, fine. So these are some of the prerequisites that I have told you. No need, like you should not have any knowledge. Okay, even if you do not have any knowledge, no problem with that. Good evening, Infinite Easy. Infinite Easy. Yeah. अटेंडेंस कभी सीन है इसमें या ऑब्वियसली अटेंडेंस का सीन है एंड आई विल बी शेयरिंग अटेंडेंस in between 7:30 to 7:45. So whoever is just for attendance, please visit back after 7:30. No need to sit here and spam attendance in the chat. One thing remember, I do not want any spam regarding attendance or anything. So just focus on the lecture. If you get bored, you can inform me. If you have any troubles, you can inform me. But the only thing that I would not want from your side is spamming for attendance. Okay. So just keep that in mind. That's the only request that I will made for you. Okay. Fine. Okay, guys. I see you all have joined in. So now, again, let me tell you what we are going to discuss today is what is web. Obviously, I'm not going to get much into what exactly is web. Everyone knows what exactly is web. Okay. Now, what will be the next thing? We have server side rendering, we have client side rendering. So we will understand a kind of brief intro, not brief intro, kind of complete intro of what is server side rendering and what is client side rendering in this case, and what are advantages and disadvantages we have. Which software is he using? In what terms are you asking which software am I using? Because right now we are not getting into practicals, so there would not be any usage of any software. Okay, server side and client side rendering will be the one part that we are going to do, and then we'll understand SPA, that is single page application. Obviously, that is also an important thing. For writing notes, it's obviously Canva. Uh, can you intimate us when the turn is so that I can consume? Yeah, I told you attendance link will be shared after 7:30 and between 7:30 and 7:45. I will share it up at that point. So before that, you do not need to any worry about that. Okay. What about attendance, guys? Attendance will be shared in between 7:30 to 7:45. Everyone has to mark the attendance. If anyone misses out the attendance, I would not be able to help you next day. Okay, so please focus on that point and mark your attendance. Okay, so a single page application will be the one thing. So we'll understand a single page application. And after SPA, that is single page application, we have JAMstack. What is JAMstack? JAMstack just stands for JavaScript API and markup. Okay, so we'll understand all three concepts in JAMstack. Okay. And if you want, we can just do a case study and examples for that, and then we'll move just to some examples. Okay. At last, I will give you index.html, CSS, and JavaScript code for you to try on. That will be your part of work to try on. Okay. Because over here, we are not understanding how to run a HTML page. Okay. Over here, we are sitting here to learn some basic concept that are required to begin it. Okay. Fine. So I think so we can move forward with that. So first thing is web. Obviously, let me just give you an intro of what web is. Not much not much depth will be covered in this case. Okay. As a third year diploma student, is it okay, sir? If you're beginning your web development journey, then it's fine. If you have already worked with web development, in that case, no need to sit here and waste your time. If you have knowledge of web development, please go and use it in a practical way, create projects and all. Okay. So first thing, what is web? Obviously, what is web? This question should be lucidly and clearly known to everyone what web is. Okay, so it is just a network of interlinked documents and application that run on internet or browsers. Okay, simple thing. I'm not going to write notes for it. I'm just having a heading for that. We'll start writing notes for server side rendering and client side rendering. That's important part. What is web? Web is just a network of interlinked documents, okay, and application that run over your browsers. That's what we call it as web. Okay, what? Yeah, you can also call it as collection of websites or a collection of application that run on browsers. That's what we can call it as web. Okay. So now, what do you use to construct a website or something? Obviously, in a basic form, you need HTML, you need a CSS, you need a JavaScript. Okay, in a basic form. Now, in most advanced form, that we have more better frameworks of it. So you have React framework, you have Next framework, you have Node.js for the backend. So these all things are required in web. Basics of web, history of web, not a concept for us to cover because it's not required. We'll directly jump to my client side rendering. Okay, so client side and server side rendering, they are both two important concepts. Now, for this case, what you need to know is, okay, remember, first of all, let me give intro of how things work in a website. Okay, so you have your HTML pages, right? So you have HTML along with CSS, along with JavaScript for functionality. Now, on a system, let me zoom it up because it will be much more easier for you to see. So, on a system, suppose I am a client. I am a client. What is client? So, by client, I mean user. Okay, I am a user. So if I am a user, I will have these all things, or else these all three website. Oh, sorry, these are three. What these all three? HTML, CSS plus JavaScript on my browser. Okay, they will be running on my browser. Now, from where am I getting this? I'm getting this from a server. Okay, now I'm talking about first of all client side rendering. Client side rendering. What does rendering means? Rendering exactly means computation. Okay, rendering exactly means computation. So now let's get into this. Okay, so uh, remember client side rendering. What happens in client side rendering? All the website related code. Okay, I'm talking about website related code. What are website related codes do we have? In this case, we have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, all the website related code renders or loads on the browser of client. Okay, what does browser of client means? The browser of the user itself. Okay, that's what we mean by client side rendering. Okay, so you have HTML. Obviously, every website that you have on the core, it runs on HTML itself. Whatever framework you have used in, it does not matter. At the end, you go back to HTML itself. Okay, so in that case, what happens is what your browser exactly does is so your browser exactly loads your minimal HTML. Okay, so you have your HTML. Okay, Now it loads a minimal HTML file along with what? Along with JavaScript. Okay, along with large bundle of JavaScript. Now, everyone knows what is HTML used for. HTML is simply used for constructing a skeleton of a website. Okay, so you have a website, you construct a skeleton of a website, we do it by HTML. Now, the HTML that gets shown on the screen, it gets rendered or loaded by by what? By your browser, by client browser. It means user browser. Suppose let's take an example. You are a user, okay, and you went on a site of DevTown. Now, if it is a client-side rendering website, it means all the HTML code will directly get to your browser. Browser will render that code, or else browser will compute that code, and then it will show you the output. Okay, so that is what we know as client-side rendering. In this case, the client browser is doing the work of actually loading the website. Okay, attendance will be shared later. You can stop with that. If you just want attendance, you can come back at 7:30. Okay, that's when I will share the attendance, 7:30 to 7:45. Okay. And remember, guys, this session is going to range between, for today, as it is first day, it will go in between 45 minutes to 1 hour. When are we starting the practical classes? Most probably very less practicals will be there. I already told you it will like revolve around all the theories. Okay. Okay. So what is client-side rendering? So in client-side rendering, browser loads a minimal HTML and a JavaScript bundle. Now, what is JavaScript used for? Obviously, JavaScript is used for functionality part. Okay. Are we going to do practical with the practical? Right now, client-side rendering and server-side rendering, there is no practical that I will be adding in. I already told you it's a basic bootcamp. Okay. Fine. Okay. Now, what is the next thing in client-side rendering? Let's talk about JavaScript. How does JavaScript works in your client-side rendering? Okay, so JavaScript, we will deploy a star site today. I don't think so. We are going to deploy a site today. Okay, let me complete some of the basic theory part too. Then I will tell you about the deployment and all whatever is required. Okay, just give me a moment. Let me check one thing. Okay, so yeah, the deployment part that's written in the description is obviously we are not going to run today because obviously deployment on the first day is not a thing for everyone. I will give you a code if you want to try out the deployment, you can. But okay, if you want, I can start with the deployment tomorrow. I want to keep it somewhat slow. Okay, okay. Now in client side rendering, what does JavaScript? How does JavaScript works? What is YAGL? Okay, now JavaScript simply runs on your browser. Okay, that's what client-side rendering majorly means. Everything that you have runs on your browser directly. Okay, so JavaScript runs in the browser and dynamically builds your content. Builds your content. Okay, so JavaScript is difficult or not? See, Sudhakar, nothing is difficult. If you are willing to give time to it, it's not difficult. Okay, it's easy concept. Just be ready to give your time and effort. Okay, so you have a JavaScript part. JavaScript totally get builds on your browser and it dynamically builds your content. Now, what content am I talking about? So in this term, the content that you are seeing on the screen is what I'm talking about. Every website that runs has a JavaScript. Now, what does JavaScript does? JavaScript adds a basic functionality or work functionality for your website. That's what is getting rendered in this case. Okay. Now next, uh, one more thing. Remember, in client-side rendering, if you navigate between pages, okay, navigate between pages does not reloads the site completely. Okay, what does navigating between pages means? Okay, suppose we have two pages. Let's suppose we have one home page, another one is contact page. Now, if you move between home page and contact page, it does not means that your whole website need to be reloaded. Okay, in this case, reload is not a problem over here. Why? Because everything, whatever site we have loaded it up on our browser. It means it is in your cache of the browser. Okay, that's what more like basic term can have. Sir, can you speak at slower pace, please? Okay, I will try to speak slower. Yeah, guys, I will share the notes. Do not worry about that. Okay. Okay. So what I was talking about is, so in this case, whatever data you have, okay, I'm talking about site and data. So in sites, what data do we have? We have HTML, we have CSS, and all other things. So everything gets loaded on the client side. It means if I'm talking about a whole website, in this case, whatever website we are talking about, it gets loaded on your browser. So in that case, if we move between two pages, or else if we navigate between two pages, we exactly do not need to reload it up in case of client-side rendering. But when I will talk about server-side rendering, this topic will be completely different. Okay. So in client-side rendering, everything gets loaded on the client's browser, included HTML, JavaScript, and data. Browser loads your JavaScript bundle. Now, JavaScript runs on your browser and dynamically builds your content, as well as the last point is the navigation between two pages does not actually reload the complete set. Sir, I'm learning JavaScript. Should I have to attend? If you want to just know about some of the concepts related in web development, you can see, guys. This bootcamp is not totally sticking to any one concept. I have many concepts to cover, and it will be covered briefly. Okay, so I just want to bring it to your notice that these are concepts that are actually required in that. You will get a very good theoretical knowledge, some of the practical knowledge, not complete. Okay, I'm telling you beforehand for this part. Abhinandan Singh attendance will be shared later. Which language or framework is best, JavaScript or TypeScript? Now it depends. Okay, mostly used as JavaScript, but yeah, we also use TypeScript also in case of productions and all. Okay. Okay, so this was my server side, sorry, client side rendering kind of basic intro. Now let's go into what all advantages I have with this client side rendering. Okay. Now remember, guys, client side and server side rendering is a very good question. In many of the places, you get asked what is server side and what is client side rendering. That's most basic part that you can get asked. Tailwind or Bootstrap, which is you go forward with the Tailwind if you're learning totally new. Bootstrap is also not bad. Obviously, it's not bad, but I would suggest, see, if you are using some modern tools or modern frameworks, if you are with Next.js and all, you have better support for Tailwind. Okay, Arman, there is no. I'm not going to teach you any language in this bootcamp. Okay. Yeah, obviously. See, on the note, see, remember, React works on which framework mostly. So you have HTML that has been clubbed with JavaScript, okay, and then you have a React, okay. So remember, on a UI side, the UI that gets rendered on your screen is pure HTML itself. You write HTML in your React with Tailwind. That's what serves as a UI, okay. Obviously, React is mostly used for creating a front-end pages. React for the backend, obviously, you cannot use it. We have some functionalities that can help you, but obviously, React cannot write backend codes. Okay, so what all advantages do we have in this case? So now it is very smooth with what? Smooth transition. Now, what transition am I talking about? So I'm talking about transition between pages. Okay. So if I have multiple page application and if I do transition between pages, in that case, we do not have any buffer because once a complete site gets loaded on your system or in your browser, we work on cache run. Okay, we do not need to worry about reload or re-render. Okay, what does render means, guys? Remember, render means loading. Okay, loading or computation. That's what we mean by render. Okay, now that's first thing. And what is the next thing? So it obviously reduces server loads. Now you have a server. Obviously, you will be having a server. Now, server is created for backend functionalities most of the time. Loading a front end part directly on the server and then sending it up on the front end is kind of hectic work. Okay. Obviously, in some cases, in some use cases, server side rendering works best. But in most of the cases where you just have UI to show up on the screen, in that case, go with the client side rendering. Okay. So it totally reduces the server load and it helps the server to focus on the backend functionalities much more better. Okay. Then what's the last advantage that I can think of? So it's a smooth transition. It reduces the load on the server. Now I'm talking about a dynamic application. Okay, so perfect for dynamic web apps. Now, what do I mean by dynamic and static web apps? Now, let's take two scenario. One is static application. If your site just has a front end part over there, you do not have any backend services, you do not have any backend created or hosted. In that case, we mean like that's what we mean by static site. Static site only contains front end part to cater. Now, dynamic exactly means a backend with front end. Okay, over there you have backend functionalities, you have services getting created. So that's what we mean by dynamic web pages. So in this case, if you have a dynamic web pages, in that case, it serves as a what? It serves as a great advantage. A LinkedIn session, we if possible, what LinkedIn session do you want? For job oriented tailwind for easy product many obviously, tailwind is much more frequently used in this case. Okay, okay. So these are the advantages. Okay. Now, if I get into disadvantages, let me complete this part first because I have to wrap it up. Disadvantages. So in this case, what are disadvantages do we have? Okay. So now, if I talk about disadvantages, so we have kind of slower first load. Why do we have a slower first load? Because on the first instance, when everything gets loaded, okay, when everything gets loaded, in that case, all data and code gets loaded together. It takes much time for your slower load. Okay. So on the first instance, when you're loading a website for the first time, it will take much greater time in case of client side rendering. Okay. Now, what is the next? So search engine optimization, if you do not know about search engine optimization, do not worry about that. Just keep it in mind that search engine optimization can be weaker in this case. Okay. Why is it weaker? Because the content gets generated by JavaScript. Content gets generated or else loaded. Okay. Generated by JavaScript. So just remember, I know most of you would not be knowing SEO, search engine optimization. So if you do not know about SEO, just you can move forward and leave it up. Okay. Okay. Now, if you want to get an example of it, any use case, so you can get a use case of email. Okay. So what use case can be once, why do you exactly need to send your Insta ID in the chat? Guys, do not send any Insta ID or anything. Okay. So let's take an example. Whenever you use a Gmail application, okay, whenever you use Gmail, what happens? It first of all loads. Okay. So it first of all loads every section one by one. So the first load that happens for your Gmail application, it takes time for your loading. Okay. So that's why we call it as a client side rendering. So everything, whatever data you have, it first of all gets to your browser. It loads in the first instance on your browser itself, and then you move forward. It's still 7:23, not 7:30. No attendance will be shared right now. So if you want an example, it will be Gmail application. Okay, if you want to try it out, you can go and try it out too. So it will load for around 1 minute or 30 seconds, and then everything gets on your screen. Okay. So this was my client side rendering. Let's move to my server side rendering and let's complete it forward. Server side rendering. Okay. So in server side rendering, what happens? Let's go with, so please note my name and give me certificate of. I do not exactly need to note your name because I do not issue certificate. That's work for operation teams and giving your name to me will not work. Okay. Okay. What is server side rendering? So in case of server side rendering, server works in this case. Okay. So the server generates complete. Okay, complete spelling. Yeah, the server generates complete HTML for each page request. Okay, in this case, see, remember, in client-side rendering, what was happening? Your browser was actually computing all the pages and all the HTML, and then it was showing you the output. But in case of server-side rendering, your server is going to actually generate the complete HTML on its own. Yeah, I will give you an example of server-side rendering. Just wait, let me complete it up. So server will generate complete HTML for on the server itself. Okay, we are not talking about browser now. We are talking about server itself. Everything gets generated on the server, and once it gets generated, it gets sent to the browser. Browser does not need to compute anything. Okay, so what does browser receives? So browser uh, receives complete. Okay, I'm not talking about any partial generation, any partial load. Is there will be no wait for JS. Okay, so we will not wait for the JavaScript to actually render those HTML and other things. Okay, so we will provide notes. Yes, usually you will get notes in the community group, whatever has been created for you. You will get over there. Generated and rendered on the server itself. If a request is received, we just completely send the complete render HTML file. No. Okay. Remember, client side client works in that case, server side server works in that case. Remember, as the name suggests, function is same with that name. So if I go with the advantages, what all advantages do I have in this case? So okay, so in this case, so first advantage that we have is again the first page load is faster. Okay, so faster first page load. Remember, in the client side, what was happening? So I just lost my internet for a moment. Yeah, am I audible now? Yeah, guys, am I audible now? Okay, fine, 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 fine. Yeah, there was just a small internet issue. 1 minute, let me share it up. So, what was the last concept I was discussing? Okay, yeah. So, in this server-side rendering, what do we have an advantage as? We can load our first page faster. Okay, so we have first page load faster as compared to the client-side rendering that we already discussed. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, we discussed that SEO friend like client side is not SEO friendly. Okay, so right now in server side we have a much better SEO friendly case. Okay, so this will be considered as SEO friendly. Guys, am I audible right? Screen is blank. Can you confirm if I am audible right now or not? Your voice is breaking, sir. Can you explain about the client side? Client side? I am discussing about the server side. Yes, I am discussing about the girls side. Everything is fine, right? Hi, Fareen. How are you, Fareen? Okay. I am telling Fareen not fine. again, okay? Yeah, is it audible now? Hello. Yeah, guys, is it audible now? I think so. That was okay, fine. I forgot to add my voice. Okay. So, if it is better, so the server side is much better for your e-commerce or a content-heavy sites. Okay. So, content-heavy sites. That's what it is. Better for that third advantage that we have in this case. So now let's discuss about disadvantages. Okay. Let's discuss about disadvantages. You can ignore my video right now. I have switched it off because of the problem with the internet. Okay, so what is the disadvantage that we have? So now in this case, server has to render every page. Okay, so that's one disadvantages. Server has to render every page that is required. Okay, so that's the one disadvantage that you have. In client side, what was happening? Everything got loaded at once and everything was smooth in client side. But in server side, you have to get a request and you have to again load things up. Okay. Second, what is the second thing? So navigation in the client side, the navigation was smooth, but in your server side, navigation might cause page reload. Okay, so remember in client side, there was no page reload in case of navigation, but in server side, there is a page reload in case of navigation. Okay, these are the disadvantages that you have. So if you want to take an example, again, you can take example of e-commerce website that you are using. That's one big example that we have. Okay, in this case. So this was the client side and server side rendering. Now let's move to the next concept that we have is spa. We are not talking about the spa where you get a massage, but spa that is single page application. What does single page application means? Guys, please mark your attendance. I don't want anyone to come to me tomorrow telling that I forgot to mark my attendance. Okay. So SPA, what is a SPA? SPA is a single page application. Now, what does single page application means in this case? Okay. So it is a web page that loads only one HTML page. Okay. Initially. Now, I'm not talking about a case where we have a single page in a whole website. No, I'm not talking about that case. But I am talking about a case where your HTML file only loads a single HTML page. Okay, that's what I'm talking in this case. I think so. The attendance link is working fine. Yes, let me check it once. Yeah, it's working fine. You can mark your attendance day one. Yeah, so what is SPA? SPA is a single page application where your website loads only one page initially. We have multiple pages. Obviously, we have multiple pages, but I'm loading only one single page right now. That's what I mean by SPA. That is single page application, not a SPA that you would think about. Okay. So now what happens if I go on any other platform? What happens if I go on any other page? Not platform, but any other page or route. So in that case, so as you navigate, what happens? JavaScript dynamically updates part of the page. Okay, page instead of okay, it should be page instead of requesting new one from the server. Okay, this is important point. Remember, so when you navigate to the next page, or else when you move to the next page, in that case, JavaScript dynamically updates the page. Okay, instead of moving back to server and requesting a new page for you, what we do is we just dynamically use JavaScript to build my new page in that case. Okay, you will be having HTML, but at the first instance, only one HTML Okay, so I was talking about Spa, right? Okay. So working was the next thing. I hope so. You were able to see up till this point. Okay. So what is Spa was a single page application. Okay, not a single. See, what is I am like my screen is visible, right? Guys, can you just confirm if my screen? I will cover this last concept and I'm closing it up because we are having much trouble today. Okay. The attendance link is up on the top. I hope so. I am visible to you now. Voice problem. Okay. If there is a voice problem, let's end it up here. Okay. And I will continue forward with this concept of a spa tomorrow and we'll see much more thing. Okay. Is it okay? If it is okay, I will complete the spa part and we'll cover all required things tomorrow. Okay. Okay, let's cover the spa part. I hope so. We do not get into any problem again. Okay. So what this spa was? Spa was just simply when your web page loads only one HTML pages. Okay, that was what spa was. And if I get into working, how does spa works? Just give me a moment, and I will directly add the working over here. Okay, so that I do not need to waste my time in that case. Okay, just a moment, guys. Okay, so I will add the working directly for you in the notes so that I do not need to waste my time again writing it up and I can close it up somewhat early. Okay, so now this was the working. How does the working in case of SPA works? So the first case is app fetches data. So should we do the session on Google Meet? Not possible. I have to do it on the live or like YouTube live stuff. Remember, see, look, this is the last concept. Let's cover this up. So working, so app fetches data from API and reuses the same HTML component. Okay. Remember the first page only gets loaded. Where is the link to attendance? It's pinned on the top, man. Look over there. Then it manipulates a DOM to show new content without full reload. Remember, it is not server-side rendering, it is a SPA. We over here we do not need a full reload to show a new content. Okay, your JavaScript will build the content without a total free load. Okay. What Aniket, what's totally broken? Okay, and routing is handled on the client side. Now, this is partial client side renting itself. Whatever routing we have, everything gets handled on the client side itself, no server side rendering. Okay, you start with the single page load, your JavaScript loads all other pages, you fetch whatever data you need from API, and whatever routing you need to handle, it's from client side, it's not from server side. Okay. Fine, guys. There is too much trouble for now, so I will end it up here. So we have JAMstack remaining for tomorrow, so we'll cover that up tomorrow. How is attendance taken? Attendance form is pinned on the top. Please look for the attendance over there. And yeah, you can mark your attendance over there. Yes, the attendance Google form that is pinned on the top. Please mark your attendance over there. Okay, guys, please remember to mark your attendance. I know there was too many problems from my side again today, so hopefully it does not occur tomorrow. And again, I will repeat, this is not a much practical boot camp, so you have to have patience with theory parts, because we have many theory parts. Okay, fine, guys. If you have marked your attendance, you can leave so do we get the certificate also. Yeah, you will get the certificate at the end after the boot camp is done. You will get it up there. Okay, fine, guys. Thank you, guys. Fine. We'll end it up here. And will you meet you tomorrow with not so problems that we had today? And we'll complete Jamstack that we have. And yeah, there was a deployment part, right? I will show you how to deploy it up. And then we'll move to CI/CD. Again, CI/CD, we are not going much deep into CI/CD. We will actually just understand what CI/CD means, what are the important components we have in CI/CD. If anyone, I think so, on the first day, someone was asking if we will get in much deeper into CI/CD. No, we are not going to get much deeper into CI/CD, but just a brief intro. Okay. Yeah. So whoever wants to mark attendance, just go to pinned comments, mark attendance, and you can leave. Okay. Fine, guys. Let's end it up here. And again, sorry for the trouble. We'll meet you tomorrow at 7 o'clock, sharp 7, and we'll take the session for 1 hour for tomorrow. Okay. Fine. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Good night. I have to finish because there are many troubles that we are getting. Fareen, so before leaving, can you please give a brief? Fareen, in today's session, we just covered web. We did not had much in web. We covered client-side rendering, we covered server-side rendering, and at last we covered SPA with some troubles. So in client-side rendering, everything gets loaded on the client's browser. That was one point. On server-side rendering, whatever page we had, everything gets loaded on the server itself, and then it gets sent to the client. That's your client-side part. Okay. And SPA was simple single page application where on the first instance you just load a single page. Although you have multiple pages, but you load a single page. Okay. And all other pages do not need any reload, complete reload, but JavaScript actually dynamically loads all of the pages. Okay. Fine, Fareen. Okay, fine. And Fareen does not goes together much well, so I will okay leave it out. Okay, guys, fine. Thank you for joining. We'll meet you tomorrow at the same time. Bye bye, guys. Good night. Have a nice night ahead. Bye bye. Yes, Purva. Is there any doubt from your side, Purva? You will get the project on the last day, guys. Purva, is there any doubt? Write it fast, Purva, if there is any doubt from your side. I think so. You would have already received a WhatsApp community link. I do not have the WhatsApp community link because I do not have control over there. Okay, I'm assuming Purva does not has any doubts, so I will end it here. Bye bye, guys. Thank you.